Simon, thank you so much for inviting me into Fareham so I can see where the magic happens. First of all, could you tell us what was the inspiration behind the Mark II?
Well, David, I have to say a real big welcome to Fareham, and I do agree this is definitely where the magic happens. There's no doubt about that. The two things that were really the major inspiration around the Mark II, one was the low cost. We have a real obsession around low cost because that's how we're going to disrupt the market. And the second one was the feedback we've had from customers.
Yeah, it's important to put the customers at the centre of it. So come on then, what have they told you?
Well, what the customers said is the first thing is please don't change the fundamentals of the simplicity of the platform and how robust it really is. But what they also really wanted was more payload, but not more payload with more cost, more payload actually with less cost. And of course that's very logical, isn't it, what it is the customers asked for, but actually delivering that is really not at all easy. And not only is it not easy, it's definitely really not easy if your development cycle is only 6 months.
6 months? Is that honestly all it's taken?
I know, as astonishing as it may sound, it is really only 6 months. You know, the first time that the development aircraft actually flew was in May last year. And then the first time it actually flew with the V-tail, which I think everybody will see very shortly, a real major step forward was actually in October last year. And I really got to take the opportunity today of saying an enormous thank you for the team, because people talk about fast iterations of product development. Well, actually the team here have done it. And not only have they done it, they've done it in a super quick time, and they've done it to a really great level of quality as well.
Yeah. What about production, productivity? I mean, you know, number of units you can make?
Yeah, well, that's also been part of our thinking in terms of what we've done with the Mark II versus the previous Mark I, is how can we productionize it at scale? You know, we've got a very simple target, is we want to make 1 a day. That's not easy either. Now, we're not there yet, but I'm really pleased to say with all the work that's been done as part of the thinking around the new design, I think we're going to be there really rather soon.
And listen, so when you're around the Windracers team, you hear this phrase, low cost, quite a lot. Now, without stating the bleeding obvious here, why is it quite so important?
Well, low cost is everything really to us, combined with one thing, which is dependability, because it's pointless being low cost if it's not working. And the reason that we look at dependability and low cost together as two key elements is that's how you disrupt a market. Now, when we had a look from a strategic perspective is that a valid thought? Well, yes, it is a valid thought, because if you look at the likes of Dacia in the car industry, or Southwest Airlines, or you look at the likes of Aldi or Lidl in the supermarket industry, these are businesses that have got a really dependable offer, that are incredibly low cost, and what they have done is disrupt the market all over the world.
I like to think of it as also a different sort of creativity. Creativity is taking other people's ideas and applying it in your own context, I guess. So how do you take the learnings from those sorts of examples and apply it to the Mark II?
Well, I think there's two ways that it is. There's a cultural norm that you need to take from that, is how do you really obsess about everything you do and keeping the low cost down? And how do you really obsess about doing low cost without losing any form of dependability and reliability? That's the cultural side of things. And then of course there are just some basic learnings around some of the process. You know, how do you make sure when you build something, you build it with really robust parts, a standard part, and you make sure there are not so many parts. So I think it's a cultural reality, and it's also a process reality.
Fantastic. Listen, I really appreciate you giving us all those insights and sparing the time to chat to me today.
You know, David, it's lovely to speak to you today, and I'm delighted we could welcome you to the home of magic.